Welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we are doing an upgrading sequel, I guess, to Boba Fett. I did say if I was going to do anything extra, I'd just put it on Instagram, but I've kind of done some extra parts there, and I thought, you know, people might want to learn a bit more of a tutorial, etc. on there, so I thought, why not bring out another video? So I've done a little bit more of a black wash over the top of him. I'm not going to go through that, it's just a typical thing, but I have actually just darkened his legs just slightly, a little bit more. I've improved the helmet just a little bit. We have a cloth cape on the back, and also I've upgraded his grappling hook. So I guess without further ado, this is how he got to this stage. Okay, first up, you want to grab your grappling hook, cut off the grappling part, which is the silver part, and the rest can just go into your fodder box. Pop down to the pound shop, and what you want to do is just buy some wire at the top there. It could be any kind of type of wire, but this was the thinnest one I could find there. And then all you need to do now is glue the actual wire just inside the grappling hook. I always use Loctite. It actually fits really nicely and doesn't budge once it's in there. And then cut the wire to your desired length. Once done, you've got a pretty cool grappling hook. Next up, I just improved the helmet a little bit by putting a piece of sponge into the back of the helmet just to bring it a bit forward so it's a bit more snug. This obviously helps if you do remove the helmet. If not, you can just skip this part. So next up is Boba Fett's cape. So here's a picture of a very old jacket that I own, and I'm just never worn it. I think it was the last time I wore it, it was probably about 2014. So it's a very nice khaki colour, and all I need to do is just cut out a square of material. So what I want to do now is just cut out another part. So you want to go 3 inches wide and 3.5 inches in length. After you cut out your piece, what you want to do now is add the details. I use this kind of template that cosplayers use for designing their Boba Fett, and just kind of put in the marks and stuff where I do need to cut. And that's kind of it then. I can actually start from this part and just start getting it into shape. Next up, as you're cutting out the actual fabric itself, don't be too precise, don't be all nicey with it. You just want to literally rip at that thing because it has to look all shaggy and matted. So for cutting the holes out, what I do, just looking at where the pencil marks I've done, I just fold it over twice just to make that nice little point. So as I cut, it actually makes a hole, and it just works really well. You can go big, you can go small, but always remember when you cut it, it's going to be double the size of what you're doing. Next up, just using the craft knife just to go over those sort of like neat cuts that I have done, just to splinter off the actual fabric itself, cut away any of the excess that comes over. But yeah, it will start looking a bit matted and a bit tatty just as you progress. So now what you want to do is actually remove the original cape. I would highly recommend actually cutting rather than peeling what I'm doing here, because it actually took away a part of the actual plastic itself. unfortunately. But never fret, because we are actually replacing it with the fabric, so you're never going to see it ever again. So from here you can see there's a nice little two little stud bits at the top of that actual jacket. What you want to do is just cut that off for now. Don't cut out the studs, just leave it as it is at the moment, and we're just going to cut it off. So I'm put that to one side, and the cape can go in the fodder box. So you want to line it up with the tip part at the top, and we're just going to fold it up in a nice sort of fashion, and then play about with it, get to your desired sort of look. And then what you're going to do at the end of this is take it away and then just place it under the iron, just to keep those creases in place. So once you're happy with the look of the cape, you can actually glue it at the top and replace it over the bit where you actually just ripped or cut the cape from. And then what you want to do now is grab the two little button parts that you cut off, and you want to cut these out nicely into small little parts. Okay, once you cut out those tiny little studs, what you want to do is actually cut it in half so it reduces the depth, because we are going to be placing it on top of the actual cape itself. Before applying, make sure that you paint them silver, so we're not going to splat the actual cape with paint. Simply now, using your best eyes, just put a little bit of glue down and just place that pin in place. Use a little knife or some tweezers or a cocktail stick just to get it in place, and then repeat for the second one. So here he is, all done and weathered, and I hope that really gives you some kind of insight into improving your Boba Fett figure. I kind of decided to do the grappling hook because I do like taking photos for Instagram and just trying extra little things, and that other grappling hook that it come with was just plain awful. Even if you did wrap it around another figure, it would just sag completely. So with this one, we got it on this nice thin wire with the original grappling hook on the end. I really wanted to incorporate it into sliding it in there somehow, but because it's such a small hole, it would just always kind of limp down. So I decided just all we do is just wrap around the wrist. So when taking photos, it's pretty much invisible anyway. But yeah, it's on this really nice kind of little bit of wire, and also you can make it whatever length you like. I decided to go a little bit longer than the original bit of string, just so simply it can wrap around a figure if I actually wanted it to. If not, it's quite a good little length for display. The actual cape itself as well is quite a good little lucky mix really that I had that jacket, but I just kind of gave it a bit of a black weather over the top of it, over the certain holes and stuff. I have trimmed it slightly, it did hang a little bit down there, so I just pulled it out and just trimmed sort of at an angle just to make sure that smaller part down here, it's up to like its kind of knee area, but really the actual sort of the size in it is just about right. I suppose I could have put it up the top a little bit. The actual part up here as well with the little studs looks pretty cool, so it makes the actual thing look a bit more unique. On the back as well, I gave a little bit more of a black wash over the jetpack as well, just to bring it in line with the rest of the figure, and painted in the little ribbon bits at the bottom of his kind of sash. And then mainly a black wash all over the top, looking pretty good. And then to the helmet. So yeah, a lot of people have said sort of like, why don't you try this, why don't you try that? And so I thought I'll go for the bit of the kind of kitchen sponge, just to sort of thicken it up a little bit. And this is actually what I use in some of my actual Stormtrooper armour that I wear around the fires as well, just to make sure that I don't sort of sound like Tupperware as I'm running. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. It doesn't really rub on the actual paint as well on his head. So yeah, I think this is it now. This is my definitive Boba Fett, and yeah, hopefully this inspires you to make some adjustments to your figure when you do receive him, or if you have him now. So thank you once again for joining me on this one. You can subscribe down below. You can follow me on Instagram, where I'll be showing more pictures of this guy. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.